Because I'm a terrible human being, I did not film a April TBR, and it is currently April 16th. So here we are. Here we are. So this is going to be like a mini TBR slash also maybe slightly some wrap up over some of the books that I've read. So let's get started. Okay, so the first book that I read in April is Morning Star by Pierce Brown. This is the third book in the Red Rising trilogy, and I do have to say that the trilogy as a whole I enjoyed. The trilogy, out of 5 stars, probably like 3.75. I think for me a lot of the issue was these characters were really young for no reason. I think I've said that in a couple of my videos now. It still continues on throughout the entire trilogy. I just feel like these characters should have been, from the beginning, should have been written as adults. They go through adult things. They are adults for every intent and purpose, except he just made the decision to make them 16. So doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Anyway, Severo is a very, very, very favorite character of mine. So the ending totally got me. I did not see the twist coming. I don't want to spoil anything for anyone. If you haven't read the Red Rising trilogy, then highly suggest that you do. A book that takes place in space, and I would kind of describe it as like a Hunger Games in space, but that is more for the first book than for the entire trilogy. The entire trilogy starts to span more and more of the solar system. Darrow is our main character, and he is a Red, and in this society Reds are kind of treated as like slaves. Reds are mining Mars to kind of terraform the planet. They're helping terraform the planet for people to inhabit Mars. And one way or another, they find out eventually that Mars is already inhabited, and there's a society held in place here. It's a pretty dystopian-esque novel, so the trilogy kind of takes off from there. So again, I can't talk too much about this. If you've read the series, please leave your thoughts below. I'd love to see them. Tell me who your favorite character is from this series, because I'm sure it ranges like immensely. I thought throughout so many times throughout the series, I was like, this is my favorite character, this is my favorite character. No, definitely this one. Like, I thought that they did a good job. He did a good job of just kind of giving you a little bit about everyone. I definitely think that his character work could have used a bit more work. I'm gonna read Iron Gold soon, hopefully in May. So I don't know. I just kind of hope that his character work improves quite a bit. I just think that a lot of these like themes and thoughts that these characters have are just so adult, and they are not the thoughts of like 16 and 17-year-olds. So that was pretty much my only strife with the entire trilogy. So that is what I read first things first in April. Okay, and the next book that I plan slash am reading in April. Sorry again, guys, that I didn't get around to filming this April TBR. I am going to film my May TBR, don't worry. So this is kind of like a hybrid again. But anyway, this is the first book in the Stormlight Archives by Brandon Sanderson, The Way of the Kings. The UK editions, for some reason, which I prefer, the covers I just love, and the white, like, oh, they just look so good together. They are split into 2, so it's one book, but it is just split into 2 because that would be a ridiculously large copy of a book. So I literally finished this last night. So I finished the first half of the book. I believe from what I've seen that this is the largest of the entire series, and this is the largest book of the entire planned series. So a lot to like build with, a lot to learn. I actually still feel pretty confused. I don't really particularly know, like I'm following the story just fine. All of those things are, you know, just fine, but nothing's like wrapping itself up or anything, which obviously I still have an entire book left, so and these are not like short. I think the entire US hardcover edition is like over 1,200 pages. So these are both like 600 pages, which is a book in itself. And I will just describe the synopsis then. How do I do that? If you don't know, The Way of the Kings follows, it's a multiple point of view story, and it follows several characters, with getting kind of little bits and pieces of other characters thrown in as well. You're mainly following about 5 perspectives, and it's not as confusing as it seems. 5 sounds like a lot of people to keep track of. It's really not. They're all kind of closely related to one another. They're kind of closely in scope with one another, so you're not kind of bouncing around to people that are completely different or in different places or anything like that. He kind of tries to really just give you a basis for this world. You're in Roshar, and Roshar is a world that is kind of plagued by high storms, and these high storms kind of just battered the world and have made the world kind of adapt to the environment. And this world does things where like trees suck in their branches and grass like goes into the ground to protect itself from these high storms. And these high storms are just kind of there, and they just come and go. There's really no rhyme or reason for them. They're just there. And so that's kind of the basis for the world. You're following Caladan. Caladan is a slave. That's kind of all I'll give you about him. You're following a high prince, and he works for the king. You're following an assassin, and you're following another main character that you're following is Shallan. And Shallan is kind of on this mission to go be a ward and be a scholar and learn all the things that she can from another character. So it's kind of just a beginner story. I don't think anything in this is too advanced, but I definitely would recommend looking anything up, maybe any trigger warnings. I don't know if there are any, but so far it has been a very fun read. Again, I'm only halfway through it, so I can't exactly say go read it or or not, but I have read Mistborn by Brandon Sanderson and loved every moment of it. And I don't think that the Stormlight Archives will be any different. I think, again, this is mainly just a book that is kind of giving you a basis to this world, to this environment, to this massive cosmere of... But I am going to slowly just work my way through the Stormlight Archives. Currently, I think there's 1, 2, 3, 4 out, and he's currently writing 5. So my goal for this year is to just read the 4 that there are and just be content with that. Obviously, we're getting our year of Sanderson next year, so plenty more Stormlight Archives to read. And yeah, I highly recommend looking into this story. If this sounds interesting to you, it is definitely more high fantasy. And then the last book, but by far the most exciting book, The Hunger of the Gods by John Gwynne. I don't know how I haven't read this yet. Probably because I feel bad stopping in the middle of literally the middle of a book for Brandon Sanderson. So I'm hoping to actually finish the second half of Stormlight Archives this week so that I can pick this up in the last week of April. I actually plan on taking like a day or 2 off for my birthday, which is at the end of the month, and for that I will be reading. But if you don't know, The Shadow of the Gods, which is right up here, yeah, okay, I didn't mix them up. The Shadow of the Gods is a multi-point of view, Norse-inspired mythology epic fantasy. And this fantasy follows several people, or several is probably a large word. I would say a couple people, mainly 3. And these 3 characters are all different. One is a mom, and one is a woman who has joined the Bloodsworn, which is a kind of like mercenary group of people. And then there's another character that is kind of just with his own little group of people, just kind of working his way through the world. He's also kind of a mercenary, and the characters are great. I think for sure, having read Malice, after I read The Shadow of the Gods, I think his writing has just improved so immensely from Malice to The Shadow of the Gods. I have not finished The Faithful and the Fallen yet, but I plan to. And so I think it just shows like the immense growth that John Gwynne has had, and this was like a top read for most people last year. So if you haven't heard of it, I just can't recommend it enough. It was one of those books that really took me by surprise. I was kind of like having a hard time getting into it. Like, I would read, you know, my 50 or 60 pages a day, and then I was about like probably 35% of the way in, and things really just like hit a point and just picked up. And then from there, I finished the book in like 2 days. And then after I finished the book, it was kind of one of those books that like really creeps up on you. And the more time that has passed after you finish the book, the more that you think about the book, which I think is just a testament to how well he wrote the book. It was one of those books where it was like, yeah, it was good when I put it down right as I finished it. And then it was like the next day, and I was like, wow, I really wish that there was more of that book for me to read. And then it was like a week later, and I was like, wow, that was a really good book. I really wish that there was more of that book for me to continue to read. So it was just really one of those books that just kind of caught me off guard and really just like obviously took over the world by storm. It's highly, highly talked about, and this has been highly, highly sought after, and I can't believe I have it in my hands. And it's just encouraging me to read the Stormlight Archives even faster, which I already feel like I'm reading pretty fast. But regardless, this is the book. This is probably the last book that I will finish in April. I'm hoping that I can get it done by the end of April. I have 2 full weeks left, so that should be plenty of time to finish the second half of Stormlight and this. And I don't know if I'll do a wrap up just because I kind of talked about most of my thoughts. And if I do, I'll probably just include this and the second half of The Way of Kings thoughts into my May TBR. Just so that I don't have to film another video and talk about double books again. But that is like my April wrap up / TBR. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and have a great evening, have a great morning, wherever you are. And again, I will see you in the next video.